And now it's time to get unmasked. Please welcome your host, Pamela Elaine Nichols and Cheryl A.S. Haley.
Where we get real about topics not often discussed authentically. The topics we choose support our goal to help you feel better, look better, and live better. Today's show is to help you live better, but I actually think it's to help you love better. Yeah, love better. Today's raffle winner will receive a private 30-minute counseling session with our show's co host and her wonderful husband of a gazillion years. Okay, that's what's there. Let's show a lovely picture of that couple. Do we have a lovely picture of that couple? There it is. The winner not need be married or engaged. She only needs to be open to a new mindset about a man in her life and what she needs to stop doing to open his heart. Now, let me just say that the man doesn't have to be a lover. It could be a boss, it could be a brother, it could be an uncle, it could be a neighbor, in addition to someone romantic. All right, today's show. If you want to open his heart, stop doing these three things. If you're in a relationship with a man, raise your hand. If you want to be in a relationship with a man, raise your hand. Okay, we're not talking about me, Pam. Oh, yeah. If you don't give a hill of beans about a relationship with a man, you can rest your hand. Because today's show is about helping the man in your life open his heart. What man, you may ask? Your father, your grandfather, your uncle, your brother, your coworker, your boss, your neighbor, your hopeful lover, your imaginary lover, your ex-lover, your current lover, your long-term lover. Basically, any man you really care about, period. Why in the world should it matter to you, a woman, that a man open his heart? Good question. Here's one answer. When a man opens his heart to a woman, he knows he has found the safest place on earth to land. Guess who that quote's from, Cheryl? Guess who that quote's from? Okay, I'll keep going. Today's guest is not a guest. Actually, she is the show's co-host. The reason she is named a guest by me is because, I'll tell you, is because she is one of the very few examples of a woman, wife, and mother that I know in my 59 years on this earth who has the credibility to talk about today's topic. She has been married to the same man, yes, to the same man for less than 3 weeks, 43 years, almost 43 years. I say, so what? There are marriages that have lasted longer. She has been married to the same man for 42 years. And of those 42 years, she has been courageously married all of those 42 years. I still say, so what? There are marriages that have lasted longer, and just suck it up. I told you this is Unmasked, Real Talk Live. Like, we get real.
Mm-hmm.
But she has been married to the same man for 42 years. And of those years, she has been happily married for 42 years. Okay, now this is where it matters. Happily married for 42 years. I have been a witness to many of those years, and I've also been a witness to her skill, her intuitiveness, her insight, her patience, and her chill when dealing with her man's heart. What she has done to create harmony, passion, and fidelity in her relationship is impressive to me, a twice married woman, and I believe will be encouraging to you too. Welcome, co host Cheryl Hurley, to your own show on Unmasked Real Talk Live.
Oh, I feel welcome. I feel welcome in a space that we come together every single week. And Pam, when I listen to you share that, I'm honored. And I just do what I do. I just do
Yeah.
what I do. And like you said, keep it real. We unmask. I just do what I do.
Yeah, well, we're going to have you break down what you do to help so many women who are struggling with the man in their lives, whether the
Yeah.
platonic male or the romantic male. So, my question for you to kick off today's conversation is, Cheryl, what did you once do that you stopped doing that opened Reggie's heart towards you?
Wow. And for somebody again, welcome to all of our audience, all of you that are here. Pam, when I think about that question, the one thing that comes to my mind is that I've shared previously that, while I love my dad was notorious for broken promises. And as a child growing up, I remember saying or thinking that I'm not going to trust a man to do for me, because guess what? They might be like my dad who say they're going to do something, they're not going to do it. So when I think about that question, I would tell people, I say I have 75% for my husband, and the other 25% I preserve for myself in the event that he disappointed me in some way, that I would have a cushion that I can bounce back from, because I remember the pain and the disheartenment from
Mm,
not keeping his promises. And that was just something that was huge for me, because it made me feel at some points in my life that I didn't matter. So here I'm married to this man who I love, and I believe he loved me with his whole heart, but nevertheless I was still holding on to 25%. And through
mm, mm,
the relationship, as he continued to show up and show himself to be true to what he said. Because see, we stand before, a crowd of audiences at these wedding ceremonies, and we're standing in the presence of God, and we say all these things, and we say these vows, and we vowed some things to one another. But I still have my 25%, because I just say I need to make sure. But when he's remained true to every single thing that he spoke, I said,
mm,
what? I can let my guard down. I
mm,
can release the other 25% that I had on reserve. And when I did that, it's almost like he recognized, she let me in, and he began to show me all of him. And it was because I was holding back, because like I said, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make.
mhm.
And how many times do we go into marriages or relationships, as you will, and we want the 100%, but because of our own past situations, our own past narratives, that we're like, I'm not sure. So that hurt that I experienced, I was not. And once I did that, guess what? He opened up his heart like never before.
So
Like,
you were holding back on him,
yeah,
so he wasn't able to give you all of himself. And then when you let go of what you were holding back, you witnessed him opening more of himself up to you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I see. And you know what? I wonder,
Hmm.
like you were aware that you were holding back.
Hmm.
And I wonder if many of us aren't even aware that we're holding something back from someone that we care about, from a male that we care about. Do you think Reggie realized you were holding back some of yourself?
Yeah.
He mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He yeah, because he would study me, and he would tell me. He would tell me later on, he would study me. Like
Mhm.
he studied me like you study a book. He
Mm.
he knew moments where, this is a moment that I just need to chill. This is a moment that I need to. He studied me, and he recognized, and I believe that as a result of my letting the barrier, or letting the guard down, or letting the wall down, he saw that, and he was able to even offer more of himself. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to okay, so you opened up your heart, which allowed him to open up his heart.
Mhm.
So my question is, to translate that into what you stopped doing. What would you say that was in terms of what you stopped doing? Because our title today is, if you want to open his heart, stop doing these three things. I just want to get to the one. I stopped doing this.
I stopped being protective. Yeah, because
Ooh, that's good.
that wall represent protection. Mhm.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff right there. I mean,
Yeah.
that takes a great deal of
Mhm.
vulnerability.
Yeah. Mhm.
But it sounds like you weren't just immediately going to just open your heart.
Oh,
give them all yourself. You had to, because of your own, trauma, you
mhm.
had to test the waters and see if it was worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah. And not only was it the situation that I experienced with my dad, but I was in a relationship prior to Reg. And it was a relationship where it was supposed to be marriage, the whole 9 yards, and it went up in smoke. And it
Mhm.
blindsided me and it wounded me greatly. So you're talking about somebody who already had a level of trauma, and then you're in this relationship that goes completely to the left and it blindsided you. Well, you can kind of understand why I had such a protective factor. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
need to protect my emotions now. Because see,
Mhm.
dad didn't do all that he said he was going to do, loved him dearly, and he loved me, but just was notorious
Mhm.
in broken promises. And then here comes another person in my life that I trusted, and they showed up again as another set of broken promises. So here
Mm.
I have this man who loved me. I mean, but at the same token, I had to put that reserve there. So it was a protective factor for my emotions. Oh yeah. Mhm.
Mm. Okay. So let's fast forward into the relationship, because we're talking 42 years, almost 43 years, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Three.
So he continues to open his heart to you.
Hmm.
What is it about you that you do to him that allows him to be open hearted, vulnerable, and who he really is with you?
Allow him to see all of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. Like he knows all of me. Like there's nothing hidden. And when you talk about protectiveness, while I had the wall up and I was protecting myself, I also wasn't showing probably or exposing all of me. And when I allowed him to experience all of me, then it was like woosah.
Well, see, I'm gonna push on that a little bit, because it sounds, and we keep it real here. It sounds one-sided. It sounds like his heart opened because you allowed him to see all of you. But what were you doing for him? Like, were you talking to him in a certain way? Were you encouraging him in a certain way? Were you taking him certain places? I mean, what, other than you being open, what did you do for him?
It was reciprocal in the sense that we connected on a level emotionally that prior to while there was always the love there and there was always that emotional connection, it took us to another level that we had a friendship, but we grew as a friendship in the relationship. Like it was almost like we were husband and wife, but we were also friends, and we spent time together, we did things together. And what happened was that, I was there to support him. He encouraged me. It was like a reciprocal give and take, 100%. And it's like, it's something that over the years, it's like, even when we're not together, we're together, if that makes sense. There was a level of connectedness. There was a connection. There was a connection factor that, it just evolved organically. When I yeah, when as I opened up and as he opened up the more, like we saw each other's strengths, we saw each other's weaknesses, we anything and everything that you can imagine, we were able to see that in one another and share in it. We
So
share.
I hear a
Mhm.
voice talking
Mhm.
in my head. I
Yeah,
sometimes hear these voices.
come on. I know
And I
that.
can hear someone saying, "Oh, well, you're lucky. You just got a great guy." And I don't have a great guy. The guy in my life, whether it's a boss, whether it's a lover, whatever, is nothing like you're Reggie. If anything, he's far apart. He's very close minded. He's very close hearted. I don't see how I could ever have what you have. I can hear the disappointing voices that they don't have what you have. And so, therefore, there's no hope for them in helping their man open his heart.
Mm, one of the things that I will say, and I'm so glad that you said that, Pam, because I encourage, and one of the things is that I could not lose my sense of identity. And sometimes we can get, I believe, caught up in trying to please the other person that we lose a sense of who we are as our own in our own individuality. I didn't try to change him, and he didn't try to change me. And I think that that added or enhanced the relationship because I had to accept him as who he was, and he had to accept me as who I was. So what happens is that when he I think that it created whereas I went into the relationship with somewhat of a protective perspective, it allowed me to open up and be free to be me, and it allowed him to be free to be who he was. So as we're growing and developing and we're evolving, it evolved into this relationship of almost 43 years because we accepted one another as we were. Like he had shortcomings and so did I. But it was not so much as that when you talk about that perfect person, what happens, it was an evolution through the relationship of the acceptance. And we talk about Maslow's hierarchy and the needs, the basic needs that every person has. Like we try to reciprocate and we continue to try to do that, reciprocate each other's needs. So it kind of like it meshed. It meshed.
Okay. So I hear another voice talking in my ear.
Let them voices talk.
I apologize. I'm recovering from a little bit of a mold cold. But anyway, I hear another voice in
Mhm.
my ear saying, okay, let's talk about the shortcomings. You mentioned shortcomings because when I look at you and Reggie, I'm like, there are no shortcomings. This is the perfect couple. Um, so how did you deal with his shortcomings? I don't want to hear about how he dealt with yours. I want to know how you dealt with his shortcoming. And if you're willing to share one of them without getting in any trouble, we won't tell him that you're telling us his shortcoming. But if you could share with us, how did you deal with a shortcoming he had without completely tearing him down, making him feel small, making him feel like a nobody? How did you even do that?
One of his shortcomings is that my husband is extremely intelligent. And sometimes it's like, as I might want to just have a conversation. And sometimes he would take the conversation. It's almost like I'm going to get a lecture. And it was something that would irritate me because I just want to, I just want you to answer this one question. And he would go on and on and on. And then he would say, but you're not listening to me. I said, yes, I am listening to you, but I just want you to answer this one thing. And then when we talked about it and I would express what he would do, he would say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. He said that I'm recognizing, he said that I want you to know these things. And it was still something that I found so irritating. And it would just like, ooh. And people will say, you know what, your husband, he knows so much. And he's always like, he gives information and he gives information. And sometimes it can become overwhelming. But when we talk about the shortcoming, it's like knowing when to, how can I say this? Knowing when to table it, and let it go because he's going to make his point. He's going to make his point. And how I had to learn to deal with that was to basically accept that that's who he is, but own my voice in acknowledging it how I felt or how it made me felt to the point that he got to a place that we would hear and he would become conscious of it. But that was one of the things. The other thing is because like we talk about the things that we do, and I always tell people like, they look at us and they say, well, you guys don't. Do you guys get mad? Do you guys have arguments? Do you have spats? Every couple does. But there early on, there was a time that he would do little things that would irritate me. Can I say it on the TV or can I say it on the live that I wouldn't wash his clothes? I wouldn't wash his clothes. I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. 43 years, there was a time that when I would do the laundry, I would take his dirty clothes out and I would only wash my clothes because he pissed me off that bad. And somebody said, no, you wouldn't do that. So I did. But what happens over time, because see, these are the irritants or these are the things that people don't see and they think, oh, well, no, we go through the same thing everybody else goes through. But that was something that was an irritant for me. Or when I dated him, he used to hide things in the closet. And I said, oh, he's the neatest person. Oh, his apartment is immaculate. Till I married him. And I found out that he's not the neatest person in the world. But at the same token, he did whatever he felt necessary because he said, this woman is going to be my wife. And he even told me when I was dating his roommate in college, his roommate stepped out of the room and this man said to me, you're going to be my wife. And I was like, dating his roommate. And I thought that was like so cocky. But guess who I'm married to?
That's a great story. We have something in the comments maybe you can address before we get to the unmasked question, and it is, did this come over time? This is referring to a previous comment you made. If you could respond to it briefly, did this come over time, recently, or through experiences?
It came over time and it came through experiences. Oh, definitely. It came over time because I told you, I came in with 25% in my back pocket. So this came over time and it came through experiences. And those experiences were not the highs. Those experiences were some of the relationship challenges to see how he handled them. And he always showed up being true to who I believe God called him to be in my life when he said those vows. And those are things that I looked at. I'm like, he the real deal. I still have like one eye like crossed. So it came
well, you know what? You used the word irritant a few times in your explanation. And here's something that most people don't know about irritants. And you love pearls, right?
I certainly do.
A pearl is formed in the oyster, but because of an irritant that gets into the body of the oyster, a little irritant, like even a piece of sand, gets into the fleshy part of the oyster. And the only way the oyster can deal with that inner irritant, because it can't seem to expel it out of its body, it starts wrapping a crystalline substance around that irritant. And over time, that thing that was once an irritant becomes a pearl. So what you were able to do, what I'm hearing in the wisdom of my ear, is that you have a way to take irritants. And I've seen this in our relationship. You have a way of taking an irritant and not letting it destroy you or completely continue to irritate you. You have a way of wrapping your own wisdom and substance and beauty and passion around that irritant and go ahead and create a pearl, which you string around your neck on a regular. That's the answer right there. Okay. So here,
wait,
can we get to, go ahead, because we got to get to the unmasked question.
You just said something because it's something that's coming up for me in terms of what you just said. Anybody and everybody knows me. I simply love pearls. When I think about these 43 years, and when we think about what we've gone through in our relationship, this man plays a role in that. He plays a role in that because what happens is that when you talk about the flushing out, and it's just like, and that's how and when you say, well, how, it's like I just show up. That's who I am. And I just showing up, be who I be. And so many times in relationships, we can get caught up in the doing. And I find the best thing is to show up in the being. You got to be who you be. And in these 42 years, I had to be who Cheryl was. Otherwise, I couldn't be that woman who strings those pearls around her neck.
Yes. And you know, you are constantly refining who you be. You're constantly on this path of self-improvement and growth. You're not stagnant. Like you be who you be, but you're not always stuck in one way of being. You are always elevating yourself. And it does remind me again of the oyster, because on the outside, the oyster is like, whatever. On the inside, which is where it matters.
Yes.
The oyster's inside is a beautiful, crystalline, magnetic, gorgeous appearance, surface. And so you're constantly refining the inner beauty. You're beautiful on the outside, but you're gorgeous on the inside, just like the oyster. So this is a lesson to, I mean, I'm listening on for myself because, one day I'm going to have a Reggie. So I need to continue to refine myself. But I think this is your gifting here. Okay, so we've got a comment. Yes, we should always be striving for elevation in life. That's right. Let's get to the unmasked question. We got to do this fast, so Cheryl, because we got to get to the raffle and your 3 takeaways. Why do women block men from opening their heart? Mm, mm, mm. Why do women block men from opening their heart to them, to the women? That's
And
what we want to know, Cheryl.
and what I would say, it goes back to just what I said. It's a protective factor. When we've gone through a cycle of woundedness, emotionally, mentally, and otherwise, we create barriers where we don't want to open up to them. So therefore, the men don't open up their hearts to us because guess
Mm,
what?
mm,
Some of the
mm,
same things we struggle with, they struggle with as well. And
mm.
sometimes we don't realize that. And even when we think about what it is that we're doing, we think again, it's like our thoughts and our emotions, just like women have them, so do men. And when we're
Okay.
able to open up and share all of ourselves, guess what? They could do the same thing because just like we have fear factors, so do they. Just like
Yeah.
we go through, so do they. But what happens is there has to be a meeting of the minds where we kind of come to a place of, okay, we're going to talk, we're going to work through some things. And that's what happens. So I would just say when we open up even the more, they will open up the more.
That should take us right into the takeaways. Give us the first takeaway, Cheryl.
The
3
first,
things women must stop doing if they want to open a man's heart.
well, the first one is to stop criticizing his identity.
My.
Embrace and appreciate him for who he is, flaws and irritants and all.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay. How
The
about takeaway number 2?
Number 2 is avoid comparing him to other men. Recognize
Ooh,
and value his unique qualities. Never ever compare him to another man. And the
my
third
man.
one is refrain from trying to take over his role as the leader in the relationship. Let him be the man he wants and needs to be. Those are
Mm, mm,
3
mm, mm.
if you want a man to open his heart, those are 3 takeaways that I say put them in your back pocket and carry them with you because I saw a
Love them.
difference. Yes.
Well, let's go right into the raffle. Kayla, take us on away. Thank you for those takeaways, Cheryl. Those are powerful. Okay. I don't know why I'm not in there. I don't know why I didn't put my name in there. It's obvious. All right. Lisa Carter. Yeah, Lisa. Lisa is a frequent winner here. I think there's a message here. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I'm grateful to you, Cheryl Hurley, for being my guest on our own show today. Why don't
Well,
you close us out?
Well, women of faith, we have a call of action for you. We want you to picture the male that you care about and want to become a better father, a more attentive lover, a healthier communicator, emotionally open, and an all around better person. Is that male in your mind right now? Well, great. We want you to send him this link to join our first ever for men only empowerment coaching program. He gets the first 3 sessions free with Pamela Lane and I, the duo coaches. Kayla has already posted the link there. This is one of the best Black Fridays, Thanksgiving, Christmas surprise gifts you could ever give to him. But you must act first. He must register. He must register by Tuesday, December the 11th, to join our first ever for men only empowerment coaching program. Pam?
Yeah, we're going to ask if Kayla could put that link up, please. www.executivebeauty.net /for men only. If you could slap that up on the screen for everyone, that would be great. This is one of our best Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas surprise gifts you could ever give a man. But you must act fast, as Cheryl said. He must register by Tuesday, December the 11th. We look forward to seeing you next time at
Yes.
our regularly scheduled Unmasked Real Talk Live.
Yeah.
See you, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.